I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Emilio brought up a great point. We're playing at Lucas Oil, right? That's indoor. It's that, as David Bakhtiari would say, that crappy turf surface that nobody really likes. The chance that you could hang up an ankle or turf toe or something like that. I say hold Marshawn Lloyd out of this game, or at least put him on a snap count. Maybe let him get a few series and then get him off the field because, since he's been here, let's be honest, it's been a groin, it's been a hip, it's been a hamstring, it's, one nagging injury after the other. The guy had appendicitis, I believe. Didn't he have surgery last year? That's what kind of ended his year. I mean, You're talking about like freak medical things. If there was an argument to keep a guy off the field, despite how bad you want to see him, it would probably be Marshawn Lloyd. I think we'd rather have him, ready to go week one, for the season rather than, getting him out there too much too quick in a road game in the preseason.
Got it. All right. Number one on my list, guys, is Jordan Morgan, left tackle Jordan Morgan. And again, the game kicks off tomorrow, 12 Central, 1 Eastern. We're going to be going live at 11 Central, 1 hour before kickoff for our PTA pregame show. And then immediately following the game, we're going to be doing our PTA postgame show. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and come hang out with us, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a cup of coffee before the game kicks off and just get in here and talk about we'll actually take you up to kickoff and show you shots from around the stadium, what's going on, who's active, who's inactive, that type of stuff. So Jordan Morgan is my number one. Listen, these aren't in order of importance. I just went through starting at quarterback, worked my way through the skill positions, down the offensive line, then over to defense. They're numbered, but they're not numbered in any particular order. Okay, so Jordan Morgan, the Packers' first-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, enters his second season looking to solidify his role on the offensive line. After a promising rookie year where he transitioned from tackle to guard at times, Morgan is back at left tackle in preseason reps. Aiming to protect quarterback Jordan Love's blind side. Watch for his pass blocking technique against the Colts edge rushers. His athleticism and footwork could be key in establishing him as a long-term starter. Now, I think we would all agree Rasheed Walker's in the driver's seat there. The starters aren't playing, so I'm really excited about keying in on Jordan Morgan. Emilio, he put a hell of a game together last week, man. He looks solid. Matter of fact, I think we've got the PFF grade last week against the Jets, 76.5 with an 88.0 pass blocking grade. Run blocking, 66.9. Significantly, now this is just one game, but that's where Rasheed Walker struggled, and that's a pretty solid run blocking grade, especially for the Packers, who usually don't score, other than Zach Tom, don't score very high in run blocking according to PFF. So I'm really excited to see Jordan Morgan, see what he can do.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that Baldy was talking about was you have a good running back because you have somebody, in front of them. You got Landon Dickerson in front of Saquon. There's just a bunch of good offensive linemen that are going to be in front of good backs. If we can have a running game that we can get behind and actually count on, I think we're in business. And I would, like you said, love to see Jordan Morgan out there crushing it, keep that run blocking up, and just do your thing in pass blocking sets. Keep your base. You watch those couple clips. I really do think he's starting to get the hang of it. I'm glad he's gotten a year in and sort of been in through some game reps now that he understands, all right, how do I prepare for a week? How do I get myself ready for the game on Sunday? All those things. He's ready this year for sure.
Yeah, Joseph in the chat says, I'm not sure about that Sheed take, Clayton. Six poopy, I think is what that is. He's a natural tackle, maybe. Coach Lynn says Jordan Morgan balled out last week. Walker better be careful, and that's what Joseph was agreeing on. Tim, man, he looked so comfortable at left tackle last week. Now, again, and I know they played their starters. They did play their starters. We did get that confirmed. The Jets played pretty much all their starters last week that were healthy enough to play. If he goes out and does it again this week, I'm going to start to turn the corner and go, I'll be darned. Jordan Morgan's in the driver's seat for left tackle because he just looked that comfortable last week, man. What do you think?
I agree with that. My question to you is, if that does prove to be true, what does that mean for Sheed? Because, if Jordan Morgan proves to be, the solution there, I would think the logic would be to get him on that field immediately and, get him into that starting role. The sooner the better. What does that mean for a restructure, for Sheed, or a new contract for Sheed long-term? Do we trade Rasheed Walker immediately? Is it an outright release? What does that mean for Rasheed Walker? Because, I'm okay with the fact that he's the starting left tackle again this year, and we go bring Lombardi home, and then he moves on after this season to wherever he moves on to, and that's fine. But if JM is the dude, I think we need to get him out there sooner than later. My question is, what does that mean for Rashid?
I think what it means for Rashid, for me, Tim, we might have the best backup left tackle in the entire National Football League.
Sure.
And
for this season, right? For at least this year, right?
Right. Which I think that's kind of the plan anyway, right? He wasn't going to be back anyway. So what it comes down to is I want the better. I want to make this very clear. Whichever of those two left tackles are the better player, that's who I want starting. Period. Case closed. If it's Sheed, awesome. If it's Jordan Morgan, awesome. But whichever one it is, if the race is that tight based off of what Sheed did last year and what he's done the last 3 years, really, man, we're sitting pretty at left tackle, even at the backup spot. And the way Anthony Belton flashed last week, which we'll get to him in a minute, spoiler alert, he makes the list. If he's your backup right tackle, all of a sudden, Emilio, you're in a really good spot at tackle, man. My gosh. That's what we talked about coming out of the Philly playoff loss, right?
No, absolutely. Is that we just didn't have the depth in the offensive line room to go to when you needed it, when you had an issue. I think I really think, Cody Newman here was saying, don't the Cowboys need a left tackle? Sheed Eningbari and a first for Parsons. Possibility, probably be 2 first, but then also Joseph.
You're gonna get your ass kicked in that.
That's fair too, Tim. Joseph here was saying maybe Sheed is our right tackle of the future. Tom as center, Belton at right guard. That's also another possibility. It's just it would be a good thing to have too many tackles, because that's all they're looking for is how can we get a tackle's footwork in at guard? How can we get a tackle's footwork in at center? And how can we have a tackle with good footwork on the outside? A good problem to have is having too many tackles.
I agree.
I think that we're in good shape right now. I think you keep Rashid, let this ride out. If you get a third for a comp pick, whatever, next year, fourth, perfect. And then we'll find another tackle and do the same thing.
Kind of like Joseph's saying, like maybe she could be the right tackle, Tom moving to center, right? We already know Goody stood on business with Big E, right? We basically told Elton, play out your contract, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't rework that deal. So is Elton the center of the future for this team? Being north of 30 years old next year? Probably not. We gave Zach Tom the bag. We've already had the conversation that Zach Tom can play anywhere on that line. Maybe there's some legitimacy to what Joseph's saying here. Right. Maybe it's Anthony Belton at right tackle.
Right. And the fact that Jordan Morgan had played right guard before, what if it is Rashid staying at left tackle and Jordan Morgan goes to right tackle and we have 2 new on the right side, Belton. You'd have Tom, Belton, Morgan. There's so many options, and I think the footwork of Morgan allows us to flip him back and forth on either side of the line, which is going to be key moving forward no matter what. But I think it does kind of open up the game plan for how you try to build the roster out, into next year and the year after.
I would agree, especially considering the fact that, at least at this point, right, Rasheed Walker is basically a tackle. You're probably not going to kick him to guard anytime soon. So it's either left tackle or bust for Sheed, right?
From what we've seen.
Yeah. At least in Green Bay it is, right? Who knows, what the future holds. But I think he's either a left tackle or not on this football team,
For me, I'm looking at it like, all right, the most valuable positions on the offensive line are the tackle positions in center, right? I would much rather see Anthony Belton settle in at right tackle than Rashid. To the best of my knowledge, I don't remember ever seeing Rasheed Walker play right tackle, right? And you guys know the old Josh Sitton, saying that if you want to know how hard it is to switch sides, go wipe your rear end with the opposite hand. That's how difficult it is to just kind of switch. And that's what's crazy about Zach Thomas. He is so good. He can play anywhere on the line. It's just really interesting. But just the thought of getting 2 young tackles out there in their spots early, like an Anthony Belton and a Jordan Morgan, them anchoring the tackle positions. And then if you do move Tom to center, once Elton moves on, you could free up a boatload of cap space there. That's just to get those young tackles together. That's peanut butter with jelly. You know what I mean? That's ham with the burger, baby. That's meth with theft. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got those things. If you can put those things in place, those 2 positions in place right off the bat, boy, you're set on rookie contracts when other teams are just shelling out all this money. You're going, well, you just paid Zach Tom a bunch of money. Not everybody. A lot of people say that, but when you truly look at the contract, guys, he's not really paid like a top 3 tackle. Really isn't. Talking about, look at, again, Rashawn Slater, who's now on the IR. Look at that contract and then go look at Zach Tom's contract and try to convince me that they're the same. They are not the same contract. They're really pretty far apart.
We got a sweetheart deal with the Zach Tom contract for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So we better move along.
Pay that man his money.
Clayton said, we're about at the end of the first show over here.
I know it, man. My plan, here's what's hilarious. I told Mandy downstairs, I'm just going to go 40 tonight. I'll go 40.
I knew it.
Through one player. Jesus.
Okay, Mandy, please don't be mad.
It is what it is, man. Get the couch ready. Lincoln's down there like, I'll be down here with you, big dog.
Yep.
We're good. Number 2, right tackle Anthony Belton. We kind of talked about. We should be able to go through this pretty quick. Rookie right tackle Anthony Belton selected in the second round with pick 54 of the 2025 NFL Draft from North Carolina State. Brings massive size, 6'6", 335, and raw power to the line. As a newcomer competing for snaps in a crowded offensive line room, Belton has shown flashes in training camp with his run blocking prowess. In Indianapolis, focus on how he handles speed rushers. A strong performance could accelerate his path to the starting lineup. So, again, we're noticing early on, whether it's through camp and just one preseason game, all right, here's the guy's strengths. We talked about Jordan Morgan. That's what I mean by preseason. Don't focus on the score. Focus on what these players are doing individually. Jordan Morgan, you're seeing footwork, natural footwork. And listen, former offensive linemen talk about all the time. That's the most important thing when it comes to playing offensive line. Everybody gets focused on the bench press reps and the arm length and all this stuff. If you don't have the footwork, that other stuff does not matter. It does not matter. So Jordan Morgan's footwork, and then what do we notice with Anthony Belton? He's a mauler. That dude will put somebody on their keister. It's Pancake City with that cat, albeit just one game. But that's what I'm going to be looking for is, okay, we know he can run block. Let's see how he handles speed rushers out of the right tackle position. That's what I want to see because, Emilio, when he gets smacked in the chest, you've seen him absorb it last week. He might get knocked back a touch, but he gathers back up, and it's just hard to move that mountain of a man. I want to see him be able to get out there like Zach Tom does, rebound if somebody beats him with speed to the edge, and really take care of business. Wash that player out of the play, let the quarterback step up and to the right in the pocket.
And right now, that's probably all we're kind of worried about would be the speed to the outside, getting him caught up in, trying to chase a guy, extended out sort of thing. Besides that, dude, I think Ryan was talking about in his pod, people are scared to be trying to tackle the dude running behind him. Right, he is a man mover. I'm excited to see if we can get him at right guard with tackle footwork ready to go. True. Sign me up because we're running behind Anthony Belton and Zach Tom on the right side of the line, and then you would have Rashid Jordan Morgan over there. Then you got Banks, you got Elton. I'm totally fine with that. The dude's going to be, if his footwork keeps up, I think he's really going to be a good player for us.
Thick.
I don't even know what Joseph was talking about here with Mrs. Buttersworth, but I cannot see Mrs. Buttersworth without thinking of Will Ferrell saying, what was it, Anchorman? Is that what it was? Pleasure myself to Mrs. Buttersworth.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
That movie is so damn good, dude. Oh, my gosh. All right, let's move. Anything you want to add to Anthony Belton, Tim? I know we kind of covered it pretty extensively there. And his PFF grade last year, remember that, what we always talking about? You grade out in the 60s. 65 is kind of that, all right, we got something. Just one preseason game, but 42 snaps, man, grading out a 65.9.
Yeah, you know how we feel about that number in Titletown, right? And another guy that we're looking for to put it together for another week, right?
65%.
65%. That's what
There you go. But that's a true, like, if you're going to look at PFF grades with rookies, right? I mean, you want to be in that. That's a good barometer that anything north of 60 really is pretty good, pretty promising. But you're looking for him to do it consistently, right? Anyone can flash 1 week, one game, one play, one rep. Can you do it week after week after week? I think we might see it with Big Escalade here. A lot to be excited about with Anthony Belton.
There you go. All right. We're going to move into Seavon Williams next, but before we do, that's going to do it for hour one. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2, where you can hear my marriage go deep into decline here. But we'll see y'all. I appreciate you.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome into hour 2. All right. Number 3 on the list is Seavon Williams. All right, 3rd-round pick, Seavon Williams, pick 87 for TCU in the 2025 NFL Draft. Adds explosive depth to the Packers receiving core, known for his versatility and yards after catch ability in college. Williams has been very limited in camp due to recovering from shoulder surgery. If he plays, this game is a chance for him to showcase his big play potential. Look for him on short routes and screens to begin creating momentum going into the regular season. Has anybody heard whether or not we think he may be able to play tomorrow? Because he's another one that did not participate in joint practice, right? It's probably going to be a long shot for him. Would you guys agree with that? Has anybody in the chat heard anything about Seavon potentially playing tomorrow? I imagine it's probably going to be another week, though.
I would think so. I haven't heard anything. And another one you might want to err on the side of caution, right? We know Savion's another high ceiling kind of guy or no ceiling kind of guy, versatile receiver. Was kind of banged up with that shoulder. Even when we drafted him, we knew that. Picked up a couple other little injuries here throughout OTAs and camps. So as bad as you want to see that guy on the field, arguably starting and, playing 30 to 40 snaps, I think there's, good justification to maybe hold him out another week so you don't set him back any further.
Yeah, and Holmes MD1 here says Seavon is out. I'm assuming he's seen it somewhere that he's definitely out. And it would be a stretch, right, Emilio, that he didn't practice in joint practice and all of a sudden go out there and play, I would imagine. So,
I thought you were going to say.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I'm going to say because our resident doctor said that he's out. But no, I think that's the case. I feel a little bit better about Seavon than I did about Lloyd, though. Like last year when Lloyd was kind of coming in injured and everything, I feel like Savion's going to kind of right this ship and get him back on track. Honestly, at this point, with all the other wide receivers out, we could potentially need him, to sort of step up and play a little bit of a role beginning of the season. But, yeah, keep him out, keep him off the turf. If he bounces weird, if he lands spikes off the turf weird, let's just wait till we get back on Lambeau Field and then start our season.
Yeah. I agree, and it seems like the chat agrees with that too. I think it's Ron in here Ron Samuel says that shoulder better heal or he's going to lose a year. That's the last thing we want, right? Is it to be a complete redshirt year? So, yeah,
You do that, you're going to get your ass kicked in that.
I imagine he'll probably be out, but again, I had to put him on the list because I was holding out hopes that maybe we would see him tomorrow and kind of get our first glance at him. Number 4 on the list, wide receiver Mecole Hardman. Veteran wide receiver Mecole Hardman signed as a free agent in March 2025, is fighting for a roster spot after a challenging start to preseason. The former Kansas City Chief, known for his Super Bowl heroics and return specialist skills, had a rough outing in week 1 with drops and muff punts. Watch how he bounces back in Indianapolis. His speed could be a weapon on gadget plays or special teams, but consistency will be crucial to secure his place in Green Bay. We were just talking, Tim, about Seavon. Kind of feels like there's a decent chance Seavon starts on the pup or something, right? If that's the case, Mecole Hardman probably going to get that roster spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and a better opportunity for Malik Heath to maybe sneak on for this team as well. I think that's true. But, I like that you put Mecole here, number 4, because he's certainly in the top 5 of guys that I want to see this week. You talk about a bounce-back game. This guy's due. We know what he's capable of. We know what we saw last week that, just didn't look like Mecole Hardman out there on the field. Yeah. And I think if you look at some of the tape from, joint practice yesterday, he certainly looked a hell of a lot better, at least from the few reps that I saw out there on the practice field. So, the ones aren't going to be running. Hopefully we get a good, dose of Mecole Hardman in this game tomorrow. And I hope he doesn't have any drops. And I hope if he's inside that 10-yard line, he just lets that ball drop instead of catching it.
Caught a touchdown yesterday in joint practice, Emilio. So maybe he's looking to rebound here, obviously.
Yep. Yeah, you got to go out there. You only got 2 more games and a couple practices left to show your spot on this team. You got to make the most of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, moving along. Number 5. Well, actually, let's just hit the grade last week for Mecole Hardman was a 43.0. So, yeah, I agree with Joseph here. Mecole literally just needs to do nothing to beat last week. There you go. And then, of course, his career PFF grade starting in 2019, 70. Yeah, that's right. 70, 61, 81, 52, 51, and then, of course, just got the 43 in this very, very, very young year here. So I wonder if that's preseason season grades. It might be.
I was going to say he's only had 260
snaps are very small. That's his preseason grades in the past. So so the last 2 years he hasn't got out of the 50s in preseason grades. So maybe it's something that preseason he struggled a little bit. Could be. Nonetheless, though, just keep an eye out for him. This is the guy. I'm telling you, Tim. I need the "Here's a Guy" sound drop just whenever it's